I wasn't supposed to love her. That was clear from the beginning. Her father didn't sugarcoat anything when he placed the contract in front of me. "This is a legal arrangement," he said. "You marry my daughter, protect her reputation, and in return, your future is secured." It sounded simple. Too simple. Then I saw her, sitting quietly, wearing an elegant off-shoulder dress, her expression calm but distant. She didn't even look at me. Like I didn't exist. That should have been my warning. "Do you agree?" her father asked. I hesitated for a moment, but only a moment. Opportunities like this don't come to men like me twice. So I signed. The wedding happened within days. Everything was perfect, too perfect. Expensive decorations, powerful guests, cameras flashing. To everyone watching, we looked like the ideal couple. But when she stood next to me, I felt nothing from her. No warmth. No connection. Just silence. When the ceremony ended, she leaned slightly closer and whispered, "Don't misunderstand this. It's not real." I glanced at her, surprised by the coldness in her voice. "I know," I replied. And just like that, our marriage began, not as husband and wife, but as two strangers tied together by a contract neither of us truly wanted. The first night made everything clear. "This room is shared," she said, placing her things neatly on one side. "But everything else is separate." I leaned against the wall. "Fine with me." She looked at me then, properly, as if trying to read me. "No touching. No acting when we're alone." "Relax," I said. "I'm not interested in playing house." That seemed to satisfy her. Days turned into a routine. In public, we were perfect. Smiling, standing close, pretending like we belonged together. People admired us. Envied us. But behind closed doors, we barely spoke. Meals were silent. Nights were distant. Even our footsteps avoided each other. Still, I started noticing things. She stayed up late, often staring out the window. Sometimes she looked tired. Not physically, but something deeper. Once, I asked, "You ever sleep?" She didn't look at me. "Do you ever ask unnecessary questions?" That ended that conversation. But something about her didn't match the cold image she showed the world. There was something hidden, something she refused to let anyone see. And for reasons I didn't understand, I started wanting to know what it was. It happened at a party. Another perfect night, another perfect performance. She stood beside me, elegant as always, her hand lightly resting on my arm. To everyone else, we looked happy. Then someone mentioned her past. A man laughed casually. "Didn't expect you to settle down so fast." I felt her grip tighten slightly. I turned to her, but she was still smiling. Too perfectly. When we got home, she walked straight to her room without a word. But this time, something was different. She looked shaken. "Hey," I said, stopping her. "What was that about?" She froze for a second before turning around. "Nothing." That didn't look like nothing. Her expression hardened instantly. "Don't cross your limits." There it was again, that wall. I stepped back. "Fine." But as she walked away, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Her hands were trembling. And for the first time, I realized. Maybe this arrangement wasn't as simple for her as she pretended. After that night, things shifted slightly. Not openly. Not enough for anyone else to notice. But I did. She spoke a little less sharply. Looked at me a little longer. Like she was reconsidering something. One evening, I found her sitting alone in the living room, lights off, just staring into nothing. "You always sit in the dark?" I asked. She didn't react immediately. Then, quietly, "It's peaceful." I sat across from her. "Doesn't look peaceful." She glanced at me, surprised by the comment. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "Why do you care?" I shrugged. "I don't. Just making conversation." That wasn't entirely true. She studied me for a second before looking away again. "You're strange. Better than being cold all the time." That almost made her smile. Almost. And in that small moment, something changed. Not enough to call it connection. But enough to make the silence between us feel different. I wasn't supposed to get involved. But I did. One night, I heard something from her room, a quiet sound. Not loud, but enough to catch my attention. I knocked once. No response. I opened the door slightly. She was sitting on the floor, her back against the bed, her head lowered. Crying. I froze. She quickly wiped her face when she saw me. "Get out." I didn't move. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Stop saying that." Her voice broke slightly. I said leave. I stepped inside anyway. For a moment, she looked like she might argue. Then she didn't. Silence filled the room. Finally, she whispered, "This wasn't my choice." I already knew that. But hearing it from her made it real. "They needed this marriage," she continued. For reputation. For control. And you? I asked. She laughed softly. I didn't matter. That hit harder than I expected. For the first time, I didn't see her as cold or distant. I saw her as someone trapped. Just like me. After that night, things changed more clearly. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. But enough. She started talking, small things at first. Simple conversations. No walls, no sharp responses. One evening, she sat beside me instead of across the room. That alone felt strange. You're different than I expected, she said. Good or bad? She thought for a moment. Confusing. I smirked. I'll take that. There was a pause before she spoke again. I thought you'd take advantage of the situation. I thought you'd hate me more. She looked at me, really looked this time. I don't hate you. That was the first honest thing she'd ever said to me. And it changed everything. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a contract anymore. It was something else. Something neither of us had planned. It wasn't supposed to happen. We both knew that. But one night, everything changed. We were sitting close, closer than usual. Talking about nothing important. Then silence took over. Different this time. Not cold. Not distant. Just quiet. She didn't move away. Neither did I. Maybe we shouldn't, she started. But she didn't finish. Because in that moment, the distance we'd kept for so long disappeared. And suddenly, the rules didn't matter anymore. The next morning felt different. Too different. She avoided eye contact. Stayed distant again. Like she was rebuilding the walls we had just broken. We made a mistake, she said. I frowned. Did we? Yes. But her voice didn't sound convinced. I stepped closer. Then why doesn't it feel like one? She didn't answer. Because she didn't have one. And neither did I. It wasn't supposed to be real. That was the whole point. But somewhere along the way, it became something neither of us could deny. I don't want this to be fake anymore, I told her. She looked at me, uncertain. This was never supposed to happen, she said. I know. Silence. Then slowly, she stepped closer. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a contract. It felt like something real. Something we chose. And maybe, that was how it was always meant to be.